Welcome to the Connected Media Podcast, and I'm your host, Jules Nadalin. Are you a theater lover or someone who appreciates the history behind our city's most iconic buildings? Then you'll know the Elgin and Winter Garden Theatre is a true Toronto landmark. Now it's on a mission to reclaim its place as one of the city's cultural gems. Today, I'm joined by Gail Packwood, Managing Director, who's at the forefront of that transformation. Thank you for joining us, Gail.
Thanks for having me.
So excited to have you here to share your wonderful story. So Gail, I consulted the Oracle, as I like to call it, Google. And when I consulted the Oracle, it told me that the Elgin and Winter Garden Theatres is home to the world's last double-decker theater. Is that actually true?
Yes. So the Elgin and Winter Garden Theatres were first opened in 1913. And the way they were designed is that the Winter Garden sits on top of the Elgin. So they are stacked or double-decker. Yeah. And it used to be, there used to be other theaters in the world that had the same design. But we are the last one that is fully operational, meaning that both theaters are still operated as theaters.
That is amazing. Now, I remember you telling me a little bit about the theaters and that it was shut down for 60 years and reopened in 1989, but it was just one theater that was shut down, correct?
That's it. So what we call the Elgin, which was originally called the Lowe's Theater, opened in 1913, followed by the Winter Garden in 1914. In height of vaudeville era, gangbusters, this was the place to be to come see touring vaudeville shows. But with the start of what they call talkies, so talking films.
Talking. Okay.
Yeah.
I've never heard that term, talkies.
Oh, no.
Did I get it right?
Talkies. So there were silent movies, and then there were talkies where people talked. And then, of course, that was all the rage and the new thing, and people weren't so interested in seeing live performance. And so at that point, they closed the Winter Garden and basically shuttered it and forgot about it. And so then the agency that owns us, the Ontario Heritage Trust, saved the building from demolition, and in that process rediscovered really the Winter Garden Theatre that was still there, preserved, a little dusty. And, some raccoons had made their home in a very Toronto fashion, but and then restored it to what it is today.
Could you tell me a little bit of the architectural highlights, maybe that were restored, or things that are unique that make it iconic?
For sure. So I should say, too, that the whole building is designated as a National Historic Site, partly because of our unique structure and the double-decker layout, but also because there are many elements from in the Winter Garden that are original to the period when they were built. Most strikingly is the walls of the theater are painted as if you're in a garden, and that paint is original. It's been cleaned and coated over time so that it can't be damaged now, but the paint is as it was originally over 100 years ago. Then we still use some hemp rope lines for the actual on stage for the theatrical elements of the production. But the thing that people notice most about the Winter Garden are the leaves. So the ceiling is now they are now artificial leaves, covered in leaves as if you're walking into literally a secret garden. When the theater opened, those leaves were actual leaves from trees, from beech trees, I think. But of course, fire regulations and health standards, they are now all artificial.
But originally, were they live living plants or?
Well, they were trimmed from trees. So
Trimmed
the
from trees, so
expos
it's
were
tree
dead,
trimmings.
I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hence the
Yeah.
fire regulations and the changes
Well,
that need to be made.
And even actually when the theater was reopened, they used a mixture of artificial and real leaves. It was only fairly recently, I think 2017, when the restoration was done to make them all artificial, and that was really to bring them up to modern safety standards and codes.
Now, I've had the pleasure of touring the theaters and the space. Can you maybe share a little bit of stories about how people react when they're on tours, or just when you bring someone into this heritage building?
Oh, for sure. There's a funny story, and I will not name the comedian. It was a woman, comedian, who fairly recently was performing with us in the Winter Garden. And these, we get a lot of comedians here, and they're used to performing in, I would say, sort of grittier locations like bars and nightclub kind of settings. And she was performing in the Winter Garden, and she stepped out on stage for her sound check. And what's been reported to me was she stepped out and she said, "Oh my bleep, bleep, bleep. This place is bleep gorgeous." And and that's generally the reaction we get. And partly because it's, both theaters are stunning architecturally. They're very different looking in their aesthetic, but they're both beautiful. But also as a place for the performer, they feel very intimate, even though the Winter Garden is almost 1,000 seats, and the Elgin is over 1,500 seats. So they're fairly substantial sizes, but they feel intimate. They feel like the audience is close to the performer, and they can feel that reaction and have that interaction with the audience, which you don't sometimes get in larger venues.
I remember just the takeaway for me was like the warmth and the history in those spaces, like just the textures, the colors, and it does, even though it's a large space, it feels very personal. Like you feel connected to the space and the stage and the performances there, because I did have the pleasure of attending a performance, so I highly recommend anybody to just to see that firsthand and experience it firsthand. Now, there's other unique things, like I remember the wall of phones.
Oh, we do have two they're original from that period telephones in one of our sort of hidden corners of the lobbies, which still work, and we do have to often unplug them during shows, because we do get spam calls for duct cleaning and stuff to
You're
them.
killing me.
Because you can dial out, but so so I don't know if you're referring to backstage, the hidden part.
No, not the hidden.
The actual.
I remember
phones,
the actual phones that still work, and I think you were mentioning to me that sometimes you have school tours come by, and the kids are just like they don't know what to do with them.
They don't know, because they are from 1913-ish, so I would say the late teens. And you have to dial the rotary phones.
The old school.
And even, I would say, some of our younger staff, front of house staff, if the first time they've seen them, they don't know, they've never had to dial and wait for the spin to go back, and how long it took when we were young to call anything.
And especially if you got a number wrong, you had to start all over again.
And these, you actually have to dial 9 to get out, because it's connected to our system. So you have to add that, So they're a lot of fun. We when we do public tours or school tours, quite often our one of the tour guides will call the phone from their cell phone to make people jump, and then no, they still work, and
that's amazing.
They're quite loud too.
There's quite a few historical sections in that building. I mean, with the opulence of the lobby, there was a section, and you can jump in here because I can't remember. It was the backdrops or something that you unearthed.
So when they were rediscovering, shall we say, the Winter Garden, in the backstage area, they discovered a collection of scenery flats.
Scenery flats. Thank you.
And so we think that the trust owns the largest collection of historic vaudeville era scenery flats in the world. We don't know for a fact, but we're fairly certain that that's the case. And some of them are on display in our what we call the cascading lobbies, which is the lobby area that was added during the restoration of the building in the late 80s to give more lobby space for the Winter Garden. They added a series of 3 lobbies, and there's a series of these scenery flats that are on display in that area. It just is a way to take something old and connect it to the more modern part of the building.
Can we talk a little bit about the different things that happen in the space in regards to show? I mean, I know you have a repositioning and a vision for where you're going in this, and maybe we can talk a little bit about the weight of the prestige of having such a historical building, and what your next steps are in the planning.
For sure. And that's a really great question. And thank you for asking. It's, obviously, since the pandemic, so much has changed in the performing arts industry, certainly. And I also think for the audience, the world can be kind of a harsh place. And so we're really seeing a shift to people wanting to be entertained and have a good time, which actually is exactly like what it was in the vaudeville days too. Vaudeville, for folks who don't know, I like to describe it a bit like America's Got Talent, because you'd go see a show, but you'd get you would have jugglers, you would have maybe a comedian, you might have some tap dancers. It would all be in one night. You get this whole variety. It's like a variety show. And so what we're seeing now is that people, they want to come laugh, they want to be entertained. So we're getting an awful lot of comedians here. We're getting people who want to see their favorite YouTube stars or podcasters on stage. And that's a real shift from, obviously in Toronto, there's still a market for large musicals and those sorts of things, but we aren't seeing those touring shows are coming through the same way they used to when this theater first opened. And we used to get a lot of longer runs of that. But so we're sort of shifting our gears and embracing this new dynamic of one night events or productions that will run a week or 2 weeks, and not focusing so much on longer running shows. I mean, we still have every year, we are home to Opera Atelier, who perform with us every fall, and they're back again this October doing the Magic Flute. We're still home to the holiday family pantomime, and this year it's Canadian Stage is back again, and they're doing Robin Hood. And for those, if you don't know, pantomime is it's a tradition that's really from England, from the UK, always performed at the holidays in the UK, and there are certain tropes with it. It's usually a well-known story, like Cinderella or Wizard of Oz, or in this case Robin Hood, where you know the classics. The classics, but it's told in this style of pantomime. So it's often a musical with certain characters in it that are, sort of the villains always played by a man, but playing a woman, that kind of thing. And there's certain tropes in it. But it's a huge tradition for a lot of families here. So we're looking forward to having that back with us. So we have some standards, but we're also embracing. Earlier this year, we had the Storniolo triplets, who, as a woman of a certain age, I had never heard of.
I've never heard of that either. So please enlighten me.
They are YouTube stars.
Okay.
And have something like 8 million followers on YouTube. Okay. They are lovely. They are actually triplets, 3 young men. I think they're in their early 20s. And they have their fans. It was like Beatlemania here. We had to, at the end of the show, our stage doors behind the theater on Victoria Street, and our staff had to literally form like a human chain so that their tour bus could get out of our loading dock, and they could safely escape their very enthusiastic fans. But the entire block was full, and it wasn't just the people who had been able to get a ticket to the show. It was everybody who hadn't, who had come to hang out and stage door and hopefully get a picture or whatever.
Yeah, or catch a glimpse or a conversation.
That's it. I mean, and it was quite something. Like, honestly, can only compare it to the Beatlemania shots. Like, we had never seen anything like that. Really, it's quite. I mean, it's quite something.
It is. I mean,
that's the new world, I think.
It's a new world, and it sounds like you guys are definitely embracing it with these unique guests, people coming into your space and performing in different genres, not traditionally long-run musicals. You did say the word magic earlier, and it made me think of your recent tour, recent performance of something that was very Magic Mike-esque, and I need to know more about that.
Well,
is something down under?
Yes, Magic Men. Australia.
Magic Men, Australia.
Who may in fact be back next year. They were lovely people. Look, we are embracing the male review shows as well. Like, come on, look, this theater is for everyone. These theaters, for everyone, and so the entertainment, the art that happens here, should reflect whatever the tastes are, and
full diversity.
Yeah, exactly. We have Thunder from Down Under coming up in October. I'm not quite sure how we had three male review shows book all within a few months of each other. We're sort of like, what is going on?
What is going on?
But again, I think it speaks to people wanting to go when they go out, because everything has gotten more expensive, of course. And if you're going to spend your money, you want to go and be sure you have a good time, So if you're the first group were with us during Pride Week, and so we had all sorts of people come out celebrating Pride here with a male review show. Why not?
Why not? Yeah. I mean, I think the goal here is for you to connect with every type of audience and bring the awareness to the venue and a really positive experience and build community and build relationships. Is that correct?
That's an excellent way to put it. I may, in fact, write that down and steal that. Yeah.
Please.
No,
plagiarism is the best form of a compliment.
No, it's true. I think that because we are historic, and because our venues are beautiful, often that gets equated with traditional or classical art forms, and we do that here too. For sure we do, but that's not everything that belongs here.
You also do. The place can be used for events, like corporate events and other things there's other moving parts that happen in that space. Can you tell me a little bit more about that too?
For sure. We do a fair bit of this. If someone has a corporate, we do award shows, fundraisers, some corporate events. There was, I hear stories of before I was here with, launch of new cars and cars being wheeled out on stage, that kind of thing, you know.
I can't imagine that.
Corporate launches. We have a partnership with Haunted Walks Toronto, so they have a series we call Alone in the Dark, where they tour people through the building, telling some of our story and our history, while also trying to connect with our paranormal residents. So that's a lot of fun as well. We do this. Isn't what you were asking me about, but we do have a number of ghosts.
You read my mind. I was going to be like, okay, paranormal. You said paranormal. Tell me about the ghosts. I mean, I feel like us getting to this point of the recording of the podcast, we had some technical difficulties, and we did blame it on the ghosts. So
we sure did, and I'm not even kidding. I think that because we were initially trying to record this from inside the Winter Garden, where a number of our ghosts are. I think they just decided they didn't want it to happen because our tests were just fine, and then it wouldn't let us proceed. And like, okay, in that case, we did
troubleshoot it, and we did everything possible. And the universe and the ghosts were like, nope, not today, folks.
Not today.
We're in charge.
So, exactly. And our ghosts here are friendly. We like to say so. So we do it, you know, we don't want to upset them, shall we say.
No.
I'm not sure that they love the Haunted Walks collaboration, but because we do hear reports that, you know, they do make some contact with various of them, paranormal activities. But then sometimes, you know, it means our elevators act up a bit and we think, oh, they're mad.
They're mad.
They're mad at us. Okay, fine.
You do have beautiful, beautiful elevators. And could you describe them to our listeners or viewers? The heritage behind them alone is amazing.
For sure. So we have 3 heritage elevators in our front of house, in our lobby space. So if you come see a show here, and you want a fast way to get up to the Winter Garden, you will be whisked up by one of our staff in the elevators. They are original. 2 of them are original 1913, and then one was added in 1919 after the war because there was a shortage of metal. So they couldn't install the 3rd one. But they are still manually operated. So they've been partially modernized in that you can select the floor you want to go to, and then our staff have to hand crank to sort of jumpstart the car to move, and then it will go up to the floor you want, and it will stop on its own. So it's not, again, it's been partially mechanized, but there's still a treat to be in, and you know, I think when I first started here, I was very excited to learn to be an elevator operator. So
the few times that I've been there with you, I've wanted to grab the lever and have been like, let me drive.
You want to drive? No.
Next time I stop in, you're gonna have to show me how to drive the elevator.
You're not a trained professional, Jules. No.
I'm sorry. Where do I sign up for the training? So looping back to talking about community and building and relationships, what other things happen at the theaters behind the scenes? Is there fundraising? Is there events? Is there grants? Is there corporations? Are there individual donors? What else comes into play to make this place what it is today and going forward its success?
Well, like most organizations, performing arts organizations, we are always looking for help to make things happen, partly so that we can provide access to the community, particularly performing arts community. We try to provide sort of very reasonable rates, reduced fees for things. We have 2 very busy rehearsal studios that we like to subsidize. But in order to do those things, yes, we try to engage with corporate donors. We do have some individual donors. Because we're owned by an agency of the province, there's some grants we can apply for and there's some we can't. So it's a bit of a tap dance, really, to keep the place up and running. And as you sure you can imagine, a building that's over 100 years old, there's always something that needs fixing.
Yeah.
And
I can't even imagine.
And there's always something that we could improve too and modernize, even if it works. But so we're always looking at ways we can do better and offer more to the artists that work in our spaces, as well as to the patrons who come see the work here. So whether that's, modernized lighting equipment for the theaters, which is a project we're working on right now, or improved accessibility is a big one.
Okay. And improved accessibility is to the venues that are coming to you, is what I'm assuming? Like the events?
I was thinking more... well, there's that is actually, it works both ways. Yes. Provide access for the artists and the clients that you rent our spaces, but also accessibility for our patrons, in terms of improved signage and plans for additional accessible washroom facilities and those sorts of things, to be better. Because I would like us to be a leader in these things,
I did notice you are also wheelchair accessible, which I appreciate.
We are, yes. And that's been a real push for us, because again, when they designed the Winter Garden, they hadn't considered accessibility. Right. Also you would have most likely had to walk most of the stairs to get there. They did have the elevator, but so yeah, that's been a real focus for us, and now we consider different sorts of accessibility in terms of the types of seating people might need, even if they are not in a mobility device or using a mobility device. Sometimes you want arms, sometimes you don't want arms, sometimes you need a wider seat. Those sorts of things we like to try to accommodate as well.
So really fitting everybody's needs and diversity. This is where you can plug something if you like. What's up next in your programming that you think people should know about, outside of you can go for a tour? I'm dropping hints, people. Go for a tour. Oh,
yes. You can go for a tour, though. We do a lot of tours in the summer because our programming schedule is quieter. But obviously in the fall and into the spring, we're very busy. So we can't tour when there's load-ins happening or tech rehearsals and those sorts of things. So the tour schedule gets a little spottier. But I can tell you about 2 just announced shows, because they're kind of fun. They're coming up early in 2026. So we have Kathy Griffin coming, and some of my staff didn't understand why I found this exciting, because I didn't know who he was. But Sean Cassidy has just booked.
You're kidding me.
No.
So we just dated ourselves.
I know, but he, like one of the original Hardy Boys. I mean, so I'm very excited to have Sean Cassidy.
I can just look at these Gen Zs looking at you like, who? Who's Sean Cassidy?
Who's Sean Cassidy? But he sings. His mother was a Broadway star, so I don't actually know exactly what his show is, but I think it's probably show tune heavy, which is right up my jam too. Okay. But gosh, this fall we have a number of comedians. We have Whitney Cummings. We have Noel Miller. We have Romesh Ranganathan. We have an evening with Margaret Atwood, which is for the Toronto International Festival of Authors, which is going to be probably a stunning night.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So we try to mix it up and to make it as diverse as possible here. We have, as I had mentioned before, Opera Atelier, and at the same time as they're here in the Elgin, we have Les Ballets Trocadero de Monte Carlo, who are an all-male ballet company. They've been in Toronto before. They've actually played the Winter Garden before, but I think it's not been since the pandemic that they've been here. Okay. But you know, they sort of do. They're very talented, but it's also quite funny. Not your traditional ballet, I would say. So
I feel like I'm gonna jump off this podcast and like creep your website and just start buying a whole bunch of tickets. This all sounds great. And the other thing too is, like, I've been on your website and I'm like, it's reasonably priced. No offense to Lady Gaga, but it's not going to be that expensive. It's not like going to Ticketmaster.
No, and you know, we do find there obviously some artists are going to be more expensive than others, but there's a whole range here. There's a whole range, and we have lots of stuff in the pot that we're hoping to be able to announce coming up in the spring 2026 into the summer next year. Lots of things to look forward to.
Maybe we can do a second follow-up podcast where you can announce all those wonderful things. But to our listeners and viewers, please make sure you do keep your eyes on the website and see what's up and coming and exciting.
ElginWintergarden.ca.
There we go. Why does preserving and reimagining this theater matter so much to Toronto, to the arts, and to you?
I think I'll speak to me personally first. We're very fortunate that 35, 40 years ago, someone decided that this building should not be a parking lot. And decided that there was something about it that was special and something about it that was worth preserving. And the fact that it is not privately owned, it is owned by the province of Ontario, means that it will be preserved in its state, you know? We're right downtown, Yonge and Queen, and
right in the heart of the city.
Right in the heart of the city, and it really is a special place that offers this whole range of art and music and performance that we sort of fill a niche that the rest of the city, and you know, everyone is doing great work, but because we operate primarily as a roadhouse, which means we are primarily a rental venue, it means that someone coming to the city who wants to perform has a place they can go.
It's amazing.
You know, because we don't, I mean, look, if someone wanted to put in a musical and run it for 6 months, I would say, yes, please come on in. But but that's not our focus. And we still have 2 theaters, so then the other shows could be in the other space, you know. I think it says something that those choices were made 40 years ago to preserve the building. And I think that's important. And it's not necessarily about, you know, vaudeville or even the architecture. It's just about the early days of Toronto.
Okay, if you're looking forward, we're sitting down 5 years from now. What will success look like for the Elgin and Winter Gardens Theatre?
Oh, that is a curveball.
Yeah, I know. Get out the crystal ball. Start rubbing it.
I mean, honestly, my goal is there's several, but one is for the spaces to be used. And that is something we are ramping up. And I would really like to have replaced the carpet by 5 years.
Okay.
I really hate our carpet.
5 years, new carpet, busy.
Yeah, really, really new carpet. There's a few projects I would love to have seen happen. Some improvements, particularly to our backstage areas that, because the front of house areas are what's seen by the public, and they are usually our first focus. But there are some things I'd like to do to improve the conditions for the artists as well, and those sorts of things. But really, it's about being busy. Actually, this is something I would like to have. It's in my mind, and I just have to figure out how to make it reality. But I would love to have a program where I can give free space, particularly our rehearsal. We have these 2 beautiful rehearsal studios that I can offer free space to the dance community, because they've been impacted a lot by the condo boom and changes to the city and so that's something that's very attainable, and I just need to put the bits in place to make that happen, to have some sort of, whether it's a residency program or a grant program or some way to provide that space to artists.
I think that would be amazing to be able to give back to a community that probably needs a bit of a cash flow break and accessibility. And I'm going to put it to the universe that dream of yours, that vision actually comes to fruition in 5 years. Okay. I want to thank you so much for taking the time today and many days prior to this to get this podcast to go live. And the best way to connect with you is the website.
That's it. My contact information's on the website, as are for my core staff. Yeah.
Perfect. So if anybody who's interested, they can connect with you through the website on an individual who wants to perform there or rent the space or attend an event. I'm sorry, Gail, you were going to say something else.
All I was going to say was it's been a treat.
Oh, such a treat, such a journey. If the people listening and watching know what we've gone through to get here, I think they would be giving us a round of applause. So thank you again. We did it. We did it. Yay. Now you know it's more than a theater. It's a story that's still being written. Thanks for listening. And as always, stay curious, stay connected, and keep telling the stories that matter.